Hey everyone, before I get started, I just want to remind you that if you like my content, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and then join the Militiaman and Crew Patreon community by clicking the link in the caption. Good evening everybody, Militiaman and Crew here again tonight. Just want to say hello, hope everybody had a wonderful day. Why I am in the Northwest, I tell you what, we've had a lot of fires and stuff, and you know what, to all those folks that are out there in the wilderness areas having to fight the fires, thank you for your service, because it's kind of brutal. I do know that. I lived in some really rural areas, and when those fires explode, they get fast and furious, and put a lot of pressure on the elderly because of the smoke. So God bless everybody that's involved in that, and especially the Wapiti fire that's out there, that's not even it's 0% contained as of yesterday. 70,000 acres. So the shout out to all those folks at the Wapiti fire. Stay safe, be very, very careful. Okay, so hope you guys are with us. Anyway, to that, I want to keep moving in, but Al-Sudani has set up the stage where he's done a few visits. In this particular case, this last week, I think everybody knows that he visited Egypt and Tunisia. It says the Prime Minister Shia al-Sudani began an official visit to the Arab Republic of Egypt and Republic of Tunisia on Tuesday morning. So he may be finishing up today and even back tomorrow. We'll see how that turns out. But ultimately, he was to hold extensive talks with his Egyptian counterpart on enhancing joint cooperation in various fields and sectors. It goes on later. Another article says Iraq is capable of capable of being a meeting place for the countries, the region. So remember, Iraq's normal place in the region was to be a mediator, and has always fit that role. I think you guys could probably see that Al-Sudani is a statesman, and he shows his strengths by bringing people together in a true fashion for a country like Iraq, and he has the populace of his own country behind him. He's really well liked, and they, I believe, can see that since he's taken the helm at the prime ministership, he's really pretty much knocked it out of the park. And when they said the year 2024 was going to be achievements, I think you're going to find that in 2024 his achievements were going to be completely 100% outstanding, and we're looking for one of those achievements to be at any time. That's truly how I feel. Anytime. Al-Sudani says he points out the depth of the relationship between Iraq and Egypt, which has made significant progress in terms of distinguished cooperation, so they're working together. What it represents as a pivot that benefits the two countries, as well as the stability of the region. He's stressing Iraq's keenness to cooperate and open up to the Egyptian companies, especially in the fields of housing, agriculture, water management, for instance, pointing out to the continuation of work in the Iraqi-Egyptian Joint Committee and His Excellency directed follow-up of the progress it is making, especially in cooperation in the oil transformation industries. Fairly certain many years ago that they did a big deal with Egypt in respect to oil. I think that was during a previous administration, but I don't remember the whole details, but I'm sure that they did a pretty good sized oil deal. And so Iraq is, connected with those guys over there in Egypt. And he says Tuesday, Sudani began his official visit that included Egypt and the Republic of Tunisia. So the third article, I should say, Prime Minister's visit to Egypt, Tunisia will serve national, regional interests. That's the headline. So you guys can come into the Patreon with patreon.com/mm and crew. Okay, sorry about that, you guys. I should know that. But anyway, this is important. He says this important visit will open the way for signing economic or technical agreements or memorandums of understanding that serve the common collective interest. It's kind of funny how they say that. They're not telling you exactly what they're going to do, but they say that some of them could be economic, some of them can be technical, or maybe even other collective interests. So, whatever. It says here, Soleil, this gentleman is, when Soleil talks, everybody should listen to him. Al Nasseri is the same way. And there's others, don't get me wrong. But these two guys have been around a long time. So I like to listen to what they have to say. The Prime Minister's visit to Egypt and Tunisia will develop strategic partnerships and achieve common goals that serve national and regional interests. So basically he's making the rounds, talking to trading partners, getting things sorted. Is it surprising at this stage? Not at all. I think it's actually probably a common courtesy for a statesman like himself to come in and talk to people in respect to the contracts, the understandings, the agreements they may have, and tell them what are we doing? Are we really doing this together as a team effort, this development road project, all these different business deals that we can possibly do? There's going to be a lot of commercial, industrial, oil, energy, solar energy, all these different, there's going to be so much to do. So these guys, he's talking to his neighbors, and I think that's a brilliant idea. Probably not really a brilliant idea in the sense of in their speak, because it's just wise. Here's another article. It says, "There's more language from the Minister of Finance." Okay, so Taif Sami is the Minister of Finance. She's been around since Al-Sudani came into office. And all of his cabinet level people have been come in around the same time. I think it was on or around October 28th. Okay, so when all of the Ministerial Council of Economics get together, there's a lot of big names that are involved in that, and they're the highest in the land of Iraq. Okay, and they include sometimes others outside connections because they have interconnectivities and dealings with the IMF, the World Bank, BIS, UST, Federal Reserve, European Union, Great Britain. I mean, there's a lot of connections, you guys. It's a big web. But anyway, when she's not mentioned and Al-Alaq's not mentioned in their meeting, likely means they were not there in that meeting that they had the other day. But then all of a sudden, at a specific time where supposedly Al-Alaq, for instance, is in the United States, the next day they have her, for instance, back in the news, front and center. And okay, so it just tells you that these guys sometimes do things like Al-Alaq's visit, not this one, but the one before, was unannounced. It was. He was there for quite some time. So they do things sometimes without letting everybody know because things are sensitive. That's just, they got to be careful. And I don't mind seeing that. And I don't mind finding out later that our hunches are spot on, because they have been. It's pretty good. I mean, that's just the way it goes sometimes, because it's a pattern. You guys, it's just patterns. And if you look at the pattern, what they've done in the past, would they repeat the same? Yeah, probably. Is it 100%? Of course not. So I'm not saying that. But I might be surprised, not be surprised, that we're going to see that the Minister of Finance has done some things recently, and it's necessary. I think Al-Alaq's probably done some things necessary while he was here in the United States. They haven't said anything since he's supposedly is he back yet? Is he still there? They haven't discussed that. So there's a lot of things they don't talk about that they do, and all of a sudden you read about it a couple days later. So let's see how that goes. Minister of Finance, Taif Sami, she chaired a coordination meeting with the international auditing and oversight firm Ernst & Young. Okay, so this was yesterday. It was about 22 hours ago, or I don't know, maybe significantly more than that. It doesn't make much difference, but it was yesterday. Anyway, it says, what are they doing? They're going to follow up. She's following up on the ongoing technical plans to merge and organize the work of Rashid banks, and insurance companies. Look, you guys, the Raffidain Bank and Rashid banks are one of the components that will need to be adjusted and merged, and usually it is one of the latter things that's done in a monetary reform process. And so at this stage of the game, we did see something else that was another clue that maybe they haven't told us how far along they are yet, but she invokes Ernst & Young. Background about Ernst & Young. Look, when I talked about reputational risk, there's people that worked for Ernst & Young that have personally told me that specifically that they take reputational risk very, very strongly. No different than the banks. You get a tarnished reputation. It's not good for business. So Ernst & Young, when they go into a business, they probably vet a business deal. They vet it. They figure out, is this risky for us, or can we handle this? Can we handle it? Because if they can't, they won't do it. They're very bright. They're very good at what they do. They're very serious about what they do. And Ernst & Young is just one example. There are others working with Iraq. But keep in mind, insurance companies, one of the safest investments over long periods of time, the most stable that I've ever seen in my history of trading stocks and stuff, stocks and other things. The 30-year charts on insurance agencies, okay, they're just like flatline. They're that stable. You can see a 10, 20-year base on them, and they don't change much for that long. Investors, they get invested in that because there's little risk and they're very, very stable. So when she's talking about insurance companies and merging insurance companies, I think they have a very big seriousness of getting things done. So anyway, to move on, the report was presented by the auditing firm on the final stages of its work regarding organizing the work of the government banking sector. I find that to be very powerful, you guys, because again, what did I say? It's one of the last steps in monetary reform, and one of the last things I said was the last step for the contract with Ernst & Young was the it was the real estate bank, land bank, whatever, and the housing fund. That right there is the last of their contract. They've been at this since January. So they've had some significant time. Have they been around in Iraq for longer than that? Sure. But this particular contract got started, as far as I can tell, in January, February, real close. Okay, they go on to say the importance of benefiting from the expertise of solid international companies such as Ernst & Young. They're not lying. In the field of regulating and restructuring financial institutions, as the ministry aims to make Iraqi banks internationally locally acceptable to provide better services to the citizens. Auditing companies' expertise will also contribute to improving the efficiency and effectiveness of financial institutions, as it's expected that merging and regulating financial institutions will improve the quality of the banking services provided and enhance investors' confidence in the Iraqi economy. Investors' confidence, right? Reputational risk. If you got reputational risk, that's not confidence. So these guys play by the rules. They do a darn good job, and they're gonna get this country back up and running. And the powers that be know perfectly well who to hire, and they hired the best to get it done. The United States Treasury, I'm sure, is fully apprised, just as is all the different international institutions and organizations are very, very much apprised at what's happening. It says here, the statement continues, it says Iraq is witnessing transformations in the government banking sector through the adoption of ambitious work programs to restructure government banks. It says that they're enhancing the efficiency of these banks to improve their services provided to citizens and companies, strengthen their financial stability, increasing capital and diversifying sources of income. Remember the non-oil income? Look, non-oil revenues is going to increase the company's worth. It'll enhance the value. If they're not just basing their value on oil, which is massive, they can add in more of the income, non-oil revenues, the Ice-Cutta system, all of the things that we've been telling you about. It's true, okay? What are they doing? They're enhancing the services of the citizens. You guys, have you noticed you don't hear about al-Sadr anymore? Remember how he was willing to run to the streets with 1 million people at a moment's notice? Have you seen him do that in the last 6 to 8 months to a year? You haven't. So why? Because they're increasing the confidence in the banking sector, which is what's going to help not only attract foreign investments, but it's going to take care of the services of the citizens. So the final stage is back to that. Those two state banks, they're talking about it. Tave Sammy's talking about it. I would suggest everybody smile, because I am. I think what we're seeing is fascinating, is all get out. You didn't have anybody talking about privatizing the banks 20 years ago. They might have talked about it, but it wasn't in the pipeline, right? So obviously it's different, isn't it? It's obviously different than 2016. We don't have ISIS anymore. It's obviously different than 2018. Why would they print all that currency in 2018 for cash issuance and then just stop doing it? There had to be reasons for it. But look at the technology that's come up, the artificial intelligence. They're openly talking about it on a regular basis, having meetings and stuff. And you know, what about all the media aspects, analyzing the media? They study this stuff. People are really, really advanced in markets and models, financial models. You guys, it's really kind of a complex situation. It's more than just pushing a button. It's a lot more than that. And also, yeah, there was a component of corruption. But you know what? These new systems, it's going to be a give and take. People are going to, like it or not like it. I've brought up some things to some public people that are out there. And frankly, when I told them that whether we like it or not, a digital transformation is going to happen, they basically got real mad because they don't like it. They just don't. Well, yeah, I didn't like a lot of things when I was growing up, but change is change. You got to get used to it, adapt to it, and make the best of it. And in some cases, sometimes you might find that it's better for you to actually get on the bandwagon. It might make things a lot easier. So the Ministry of Finance, again, it says she's following up on the regulation of the work of the government banks with international auditing firm Ernst & Young. So this is a different bit of information, but ultimately they're focused on it. And this was yesterday. It says Tave Sammy chaired a coordination meeting with the international auditing and oversight company Ernst & Young to following up on their ongoing technical plans, pretty much the same as we talked about, Rafiq Bank and the insurances. But she says during the meeting that was attended by a number of ministry general managers and formations, a report was presented to the auditing or by the auditing company for the final stages of that work. They discussed proposed plans for implementation stages in line with priorities of reform and development. So right there's certain things that they have to do. There's probably consistently. So in certain types of work, you have a stage. You have this particular stage, second stage, third stage, and they all meld together in an appropriate order. You have a start, the start of the run, you have the run, and then you have running through the tape, I guess, right? Okay. Ministry of Finance, she stresses the importance of implementing these procedures to contribute enhancing confidence in the banking sector. So she's hammering this home in these articles, providing a stable financial environment that supports the growth, which is positively reflected on the national economy, generally achieving sustainable development, stimulating growth in various sectors. And basically, what is she going to say? She goes on to say later, a couple paragraphs down, Iraq is witnessing transformations in the government banking sector through the adoption of work programs to restructure the banks. And they're basically talking about efficiency, enhancing the banks, providing citizens, companies to strengthen financial solvency by increasing capital and diversifying sources of income. We all know that they're going to have transparency, accountability. The latest banking technologies do provide efficient services as well, increasing confidence and banking sectors in the banking sector and attracting foreign investment. So with the likes of Ernst & Young involved, I think the world will find confidence. I think they will. I think the other companies that Iraq has decided to bring on board over the years, last year or so, even sooner, you're going to find that big things are underway with this country and the world. So here's a parliamentary finance. It says the path of development will achieve a shift in the course of trade exchange between Iraq and the world. Really? So Iraq is going to, in a course of trade exchange, is going to be between Iraq and the world. It's going to be a shift. All right, well, it says here the meeting discussed political and security developments in the region and their impact on the economy. It says Parliamentary Finance Committee who all was involved in this finance committee, and the chargé d'affaires of German embassy, Roland Vestby, and his accompanying delegation. So these two sides stressed the need, and in various fields, especially in developing the energy sector and financial and banking systems. So Germany's involved in a way that achieves sustainable development. So look, everybody's like probably just chomping at the bit to get this thing off the ground. Iraq looks forward to strengthening its relations with everyone on the basis of mutual respect, common interests, and non-interference in its internal affairs. He's added that the political and security stability that Iraq is currently witnessing has made it an attractive environment for investment. I think you probably all can see why. How far they've come. All the things I just mentioned in the last 15 minutes, 10 minutes. The entry of major international companies into Iraq is clear. It's a clear indicator of stability and security. The development path, which is a development road, will achieve a qualitative shift in the course of trade exchange between Iraq and the world. Big. It's big. It's internationalism, you guys, as it shortens time and provides security. I think what they said, the most recent article talked about shaving off about 15 days off of trade from China into Europe from all the goods and services by going through Iraq. And 15 days is a lot of money. I don't know if you guys have ever seen what lease rates, well, during COVID, lease rates dropped to an all-historical low, but I'm sure they probably are on their way back up. But ultimately, moving ships and containers, they talked about the Port of Fa today, for instance. They're expecting over the next year 1.5 million containers going through the Port of Fa, and it's not even fully built yet. So could you imagine when they get all 5 berths running? You guys, that road's going to be busy. Anyway, so Germany's getting on board. Safe and secure investment environment. They're attracting investors. Al-Sudani's visit to Egypt and Tunisia, I mean, it just supports that they're actually finalizing, gearing for an international situation. And last thing I want to talk about is, it's only briefly, but you know, one of the things for this development road, the development path project, is that water is going to be a big thing. Obviously, you guys know that Iraq gets really hot. It's very difficult to not have water evaporate. So if it's standing water, the heat will evaporate, and they need to have things in place. So there's a lot of technologies out there that they'll be using, and they'll have to build, and it'll probably cost them some money, but there's going to be a give and take with all that. But ultimately, Iraq signs agreement with 2 international companies to improve water management. It's the proper thing to do, especially at this stage, because they're going to develop, I mean, they used to have marshes and all that stuff, but having agreements with companies to help out, and then Turkey helping out with their water agreements with Iraq and Al-Sudani, is going to be very important. So Turkey's got a stake in the game, because they're going to need to have, they're going to want the business, but they're also going to want to, you know, have to have a bargaining chip, which is water. I think it's at least one of them. So anyway, it says the Iraqi Ministry of Water Resources announced today that they signed a contract with 2 foreign companies to secure a sustainable water future, develop irrigation systems, and address the impact of climate change on rivers without disclosing its financial cost. Now, why in the world would they not disclose the financial cost? Well, they probably are going to avoid talking about how many dinars that's going to cost, because if they told you it was going to be at 1310, would they be telling you the truth? Probably not. We'll have to wait and see what they do, because they just said without disclosing its financial cost. So they're not willing to tell you what value of the currency is. What are you doing? Are you doing it in dollar terms? You're doing it in dinar terms? You're going to do it in euro terms? You're going to do it in UAE dirham? What are you going to do? Normally, we know what is Iraq are supposed to do by law is to do commercial business in what? The dinar. And they're not willing to tell you how much it's going to cost. I think that's a hint. So they go on to say that let's see, Minister of Water Resources, Aoun Diab Abdullah, of the first meeting of the steering committee. So they have the first meeting. That says here they launched their first update project for the strategic study of water and land resources in Iraq. The ministry has contracted with the coalition of the Italian Hydronova and the Jordanian Concord companies to launch a project to update the strategic study concerned with preparing a national roadmap for developing water resources and improving their use. And it goes on to talk about infrastructure to achieve water, food, energy security, preserve the environment, all that. And so by preserving the environment, making them a little more green, trying to repopulate the marshes will help contain water. There's all kinds of things that they can do. So anyway, water resources are a vital artery for the sustainability of economic, social, and environmental development, while pointing out that in light of the rapid climate changes, population growth, and challenges, it was necessary to update the strategic study to adapt these changes and facts on the ground and face the current and future challenges. And the celebration also included, they had a celebration, an explanatory film highlighting the achievements of the strategic study. So it sounds like they've already done all this study and they're pretty much ready to go. And main study and the main areas for modernization, as well as a speech by Andrea Cataruzzi, head of the consulting team for preparing the study. So basically it sounds like they prepared it, they studied it, they gave them a highlight, a film, and explained how they're going to do everything. And that would probably be kind of exciting to see the new technologies and the advancements to be able to sustain their development project and to support it, and therefore more security and stability in a totally different manner. But sustainable water for the future is most definitely going to be an issue that'll be taken seriously, and it's fascinating. So thanks for being with us with Militia Man and Crew. I want to thank you all for being with us. If you like my content and the crew's content, please hit the like button and subscribe. We appreciate that. We have ways to help support Samson, of all the crew. Gigi, she comes in. Petra comes in. Pumpy Peter. We have Brian the Lion. We have all these people that do bits and pieces around for Militia Man and Crew to keep this place running and going. So all your contributions, as small as they may be or as large as they may be, thank you. It doesn't matter. Just make sure that you know that Militia Man and Crew, we appreciate it, and we'd like to keep this going, and we'll see what happens with us going into the next stage, because they're big on stages, and I think that we're going to be big on stages too. So anyway, thank you guys. We have Venmo, PayPal, Zelle. Thank you guys again. Have a great weekend. Once again, guys, don't forget to hit that like button if you like this content, subscribe to the channel, or join us at the Militia Man and Crew Patreon community for even more exclusive content. You can also donate to this channel by hitting the links in the banner to help keep this page up and running. Your generous support is greatly appreciated, as always. Much, much appreciated. Thank you so much and have a great day.